What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of It's Called Football. Jerry Walker right here, as always, alongside me is Jason Garcia, Jackson Fyda. And guys, we have a good episode today. Euro semifinals getting underway tomorrow, Tuesday, July 8th. Before we hop into our previews for those two matches, we'll look back at the four quarterfinals because there's some excitement, quite a few penalties, and a little bit of controversy, I'll say, in that Germany-Spain game. So without further ado, we'll get into it, and we'll start right there. Germany, Spain. Spain ultimately wins 2-1, but I don't know. There should have been a penalty there, I will say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have no idea how that wasn't a penalty. I really don't. I saw some official. I know she's a correspondent with CBS during their Champions League stuff, so I've seen her on some of that defending the referee's decisions. She was on Twitter giving reasons why it wasn't a penalty kick, like his hand was behind his back and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there he made his body bigger, quite clearly, because his hand wasn't by his body. It was all the way out here. It smacks it when it's a shot on goal. I don't know how that wasn't a handball. That's literally textbook definition of a handball, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
That was with Cucurella, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Cucurella. I think with Chelsea, yeah, it should have been clearly a pen. Like you said, hand behind, made his body bigger. I'm just surprised as anybody. It wasn't called. But in the end, Spain won. Who knows? That could overturn the game. But yeah, like we said the last episode, whoever won this match would go on to win it all. And I still think Spain are probably going to go through.
Yeah, I will say I'm a little more suspect on the Spanish side just to going into this France game, which I'll jump into later. But as far as this one goes, yeah, I mean, a penalty, because I want to say it was still 1-1 at that point in extra time.
Yeah.
That would have given Germany a boost. That would have given them the lead, obviously. And from there on, I could see them with their defensive group kind of sitting back, holding it out, and kind of grinding out the 2-1 win. Wasn't to be. Saw in the first half, Danny Olmo second half got the first goal. This is from Lamine Yamal, who continues to play well until the 60th, 70th minute. Because, hey, in Germany, you can't work as an under 18-year-old after, I want to say, 11 p.m., 10 p.m. So he keeps getting subbed out a little early. Curious to see how that goes the further on we get in this tournament if they need him to play because he's been superb. And Florian Wirtz got the equalizer in the 89th minute for Germany. I thought the game was all but done at that point and kind of pulled it out from there. So extra time happens. First half, not a whole lot. Second half, the last minute, really, the 119th minute, Mikel Moreno finds the back of the net, runs to the corner flag, does a celebration that apparently his dad did at the same stadium when playing in a Champions League game. So always cool to see. And then Carvajal gets a red card.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was deserving? His second yellow in extra time?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was 100% a second. He knew it, too, when he did it. He knew he was tackling him because Germany had a little bit of a break going. They still were able to get a free kick in, but they would have been in a much more dangerous position if he had gone through. So he knew it. You could see it as soon as it was called dead for the foul. Definitely a yellow card, definitely red, but it was a smart one. I mean, we'll see if it comes back to haunt them with who's going to be playing as a right-sided, right back. I don't know why I phrased it like that. Who's going to be playing as a right back in this next game? Because Carvajal, I've never been the biggest fan, but he's in the form of his life right now. He is playing phenomenally. So it's going to be interesting to see who kind of steps up into that role heading into this next game because Carvajal's been irreplaceable in this squad so far. He's scored the first goal of the tournament. He's looked really solid. So now I think maybe you could put Nacho out there if you want. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I guess Jesus Navas probably might be the next man up, if not Nacho. So it's going to be curious to see what they do.
Absolutely. Jason, I got a question for you because Pedri came out injured. 8 minutes in, he's been superb, the 21-year-old, but he's missed so much because of injuries. How important was it that Danny Olmo was the guy they brought on? Because, you look at it, got the goal, got the assist. It was – do you think they still would have done it had Pedri been playing?
Absolutely, yeah. Bringing on Olmo, stacked Spain roster, you can make a case that Olmo can be starting for the team. But losing Pedri, seen as one of the bright spots in the future of the sport, alongside like the Barcelona squad for the future. But bringing on Olmo, like I said, many people could see him as a starter. If I remember, didn't he start the Nations League when they won the Nations League, or he was there? He
He's been a
did some stuff
starter.
for them.
Yeah, he's been a starter before.
Yeah. So like again, mentioned Spain roster can go. Their second team can be a first team. So again, just they had a perfect replacement in Olmo and him scoring, assisting. There was like for Spain they have an. I'm making like they have the next man up automatically. Like there's no lack of depth. They have a replacement ready at any position. Like you said, we have Carvajal gone. You could put Nacho out there or somebody else. But the roster could go deep, and yeah, losing Pedri is going to be a problem. But again, roster can go deep, and no one's gonna like, oh, we're lacking in this spot, or we could go through here now, or we could go to the right side with Carvajal gone. They have players at every position. They don't have to worry about it, considering like they have to play, teams like Germany and France.
Absolutely. I mean, it was massive that you're able to bring on someone to replace arguably one of your better players, and you don't miss a beat. That is what you're saying is Almo should be starting at times, Kaz been starting at times. So it's just continues to say, as both of you brought up, the depth of this Spanish team is what's very impressive. And when we get into the preview, we'll talk more about that because it's going to be needed in the semifinal. But in the semifinal, they'll be playing France, who they took on Portugal. This is kind of what we thought it was going to be, at least the first half. Pretty dire, pretty bad. Neither team really looking to create any opportunities. If you had to pick 45 minutes of this weekend's matches in the Euros, this was the 45 to miss.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot happened. Second half, completely different. Don't know what the manager said at halftime, but both teams came out flying. Some good saves from both Diogo Costa and Mike Majang. So kind of just, Jason, I'll start with you. What were your reactions to at least this first part of the France game and the penalty shootout? Because it did stay 0-0 and went to penalties.
Yeah, my first reaction, at least to the penalty shootout, is when it happened when Portugal and Diogo Costa had those three consecutive saves. I'm like, oh, if anything, Portugal is going to have the advantage. Their last match was a penalty shootout. They probably have the advantage because the keeper did well. But then, I don't know if I remember, he didn't make a save, or unless it was one to miss. I barely caught the end of it, so my memory about it is a bit spotty. And then, same thing with Portugal. At least Ronaldo starting, he made it. And then Joao Felix, of all people, he's getting a lot of hate on social media now because like everybody's saying he ruined the final run for Ronaldo, I guess, at a major tournament. But yeah, just having a younger player and he misses it, going wide, it hurts. And then you're seeing like Ronaldo last game, he was crying after he missed the penalty in stoppage time, but now he's not crying when he's out of the tournament completely. So yeah, that's my first thought was on the penalty kicks because like I don't know. Again, with France, they haven't scored a goal in open play yet, so like they keep squeezing on by, like it's impossible. They just find a way. I think one of you said in the Slack channel, they keep finding a way to win, and yeah, that's all my thoughts. It was just because we said the game was going to be boring. It was either going to be absolutely lights out or completely a snooze fest, and it seemed to be, a mix of both. But the penalty shootout was the worst, not the worst, but they gave the worst ending possible to Ronaldo, and France continues their run, even though they haven't looked in the best of form either.
No, absolutely. And Jackson, before I give you your thoughts, just off the Ronaldo thing, sure, it's the end of Ronaldo's Euro runs. What did he even do this tournament? He missed a penalty. He had 9 shots on target, 7 off, and I think it was like 4 or 5 that were blocked. He scored 0 goals in a tournament for the first time ever. Looked completely out of him, unlike himself normally. So I don't feel really that bad for Ronaldo, or I know a lot of people do, in terms of, oh yeah, it is a bummer he's done, but we knew he was done. If you want to win, you have to have your best player step up, and Ronaldo, still being the leader of that team, did not step up at all in this tournament.
No, he really didn't. And I think he's struggling with making the transition from being super young, still fit, still able to do all this, to the role he has to do now, which is you're not the star man. You don't have the same spring in your step that you used to have. You're not going to be scoring as many goals. It's just not going to happen. You're 39. Like, it's just not going to happen. And I think he's struggling with that. And that really came to haunt Portugal in this game. And it's kind of hard to say the whole tournament because it didn't make the quarterfinals, but there are definitely times where Ronaldo, like in the Slovenian game, almost ruined it for him completely. So it's I don't really feel that badly for him because one second, sorry. Last day at my girlfriend's house, her dogs bark like crazy. But anyway,
That's all good.
yeah. So I don't even remember what point I was on. All I know is I don't feel bad for Ronaldo. He already won a Euros, so I didn't care if he won this one. He already got it done. And the way he's playing, sure, he had that one assist where he could have shot it and he passed it across. We're all like, oh, is this a new Ronaldo? It wasn't. He was shooting free kicks from terrible angles from about 25 yards out. He just, every single chance that he could take, he took it for himself rather than giving it towards a teammate. I think I saw him only give up one free kick that entire tournament. I think just one. I think every other one he hit was either into the wall right at the keeper or over. I don't feel bad for him because I don't think he learned to play the role that he needs to play now, which is you're the leader. Guess what? You're not going to start every game. You might have to come off the bench, but you need to be the leader. You need the one who uses your experience to help carry this really talented Portugal team into the future. Because if you're Ronaldo and you really care that much about Portugal, you shouldn't be thinking about yourself and getting one more to win. You should be thinking about setting this Portuguese team up to be the best they can be in the future. Because when you look at the roster that they have, it's unbelievably stacked. Defense, midfield, attack, it's unbelievably stacked. So, in my opinion, he should have used this as an opportunity to help push this new generation through in the best way he could, which would mean not being a selfish Ronaldo that he was in the past. Because in the past, he could get away with it because he was that good. He's not that good anymore. So I think when people are saying they feel bad for him, I don't. This was a huge opportunity to help set this next Portuguese team up for the future. Instead, I think they're just kind of stagnant. You know, they didn't really get that push. If they got into the semifinals, this team's going to have that belief. They're going to have all that energy behind them heading into the next World Cup, heading into the next Euros, you know. So I don't know. I'm not happy with how he played his role. I think I would be shocked if he makes the next World Cup, if that's the approach he's going to take, if that's the approach that Portugal is going to take with him. I'd be shocked if he went, unless he changes something up.
Yeah, I want to just do a quick comparison with him and Lionel Messi because Messi will be doing a Copa America show later on today, so make sure you tune in for that as well. But Messi, he's done nothing this tournament, but everyone else has stepped up in big ways. Lautaro Martinez, been superb. Julian Alvarez has stepped up recently, but you don't see that with this Portuguese side. I think that's part of what you're saying, Jackson, is Messi was kind of mentoring and helping these guys get into where they need to be, building up their confidence. Ronaldo's just shooting down everybody's confidence and not being part of a team. He's in there for himself, it seems. So we will see what happens moving forward. Going to move on to the next quarterfinal, and the only quarterfinal to finish in normal 90 minutes, Netherlands and Turkey. And man, this was probably the most exciting of the whole weekend of these quarterfinals, just in terms of pure excitement, back and forth. Turkey took the lead in the first half, won with a goal from Semet Akarin, 1-0 all the way until the 70th minute when Stefan de Vrij.
Yeah, De Vrij, dude. What I had.
Oh my God. And Memphis Depay finally getting an assist. It seemed he's been struggling here and there. Then unfortunately it was ruled as an own goal off of Cody Gakpo's shot, which I'm kind of surprised it was ruled an own goal, but it was what it was, and the Netherlands find a way to win in the 76th minute. So I'll come to you first, Jackson. Thoughts on this match?
Yeah, this was the one I felt I wasn't able to watch fully. I had the phone in my pocket listening to audio and checking because girlfriend had a grad party, so I was helping set that up. So I'm like obviously sneaking the views every time I hear the commentator get excited and stuff. It was a pretty exciting game just based on commentary alone. Chances, it sounded like when I was watching, a lot of energy from the Turkish players, from the fans. First half, phenomenal. Basically a dream for them. That's what you wanted. That's all you could really ask for. A 1-0 lead against the Dutch. I thought they'd go on to win it, to be completely honest, with the energy they had with the fans and everything. But man, that header from De Vrij just set things going. Because, I mean, what a header, by the way. That was a grown man's header. Rocketed. He was up. No one was near him. So, I mean, it was pretty, rudimentary for someone of his skill level to just head it in like that. But great header. And then obviously the Gakpo chance later on. Very exciting game, though. I'd say based on what I was watching and obviously listening to, it sounded like the most interesting game, the full 90 of any that we'd seen. Especially, and I figured that was just going to happen just because of the Turkish fan support. Maybe the Germans would have him beat, but this Turkish fans feel almost louder than the German fans, And it's a shame we're not going to get to see them in the semifinals. I really wanted it just because of the energy they were bringing. But man, they've got nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to hang their heads about. I'll tell you that, because they battled. Their fans were with them the whole way. Maybe a step in the right direction for Turkey, try to get back to those 2002, 2008 days. So first time in my lifetime of watching soccer, I've seen this Turkish team actually perform. So it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, what are your thoughts on this Netherlands win and I guess Turkey's performance?
You know, I like when hype trains die, and I thought Arda Güler was going to have that here. But again, he keeps proving us wrong. I believe he got the assist again, and he had that free kick that had to be blocked by the keeper from a good distance away. Yeah, but like Jackson said, Turkey's putting on the performances. They have the talent, and it seems to be going forward. Yeah, like he said, they got the lead, but the Netherlands 2 goals. I believe it was like 7-8 minutes in the 70th time. Yeah, but the Dutch look good. And they from if I remember correctly, most of the games the Dutch has been down and then they came back. So they can keep they have the performances. They keep bringing the players, keep the team, performs well together. You can see obviously, but if they get down big, like against, I'm not rooting out Turkey for not being good. They're not on the level of like other teams such as Spain and like France, but if the Netherlands go down against a higher quality team, then it could be the end for them. But at the same time, Ronald Koeman, whatever he's doing, because everything seems to be happening at halftime. Shout out to him. But like I said, just they need to get it from the jump. Don't halftime. Yeah, they're good at halftime. Whatever's going on in the locker room, but they got to do it right out the gate. Don't go down because like I said, if you play against a higher quality team, they won't give you the space to get back in the game. And then I think that's what they need to work on.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to build right off what you said about halftime. At halftime, in this match, they brought on Wout Weghorst, took off Steven Bergwijn, and that was a massive change. Suddenly, the Netherlands looked more dangerous going forward. Weghorst being a big forward up top, he created and stretched out the Turkish defense more. And I think this is where Turkey was really missing some of the guys that they had suspended. Demriel, the guy who scored twice in the round of 16 match, he was suspended for this one. That was a big difference. Kochu was also out. He's been pretty impressive so far for this Turkish side as well. So it seemed like a little bit of Netherlands getting everything going and Turkey missing out on a few players. And they still had a chance towards the end. They just couldn't find the back of the net, couldn't beat the 21-year-old Bart Verbruggen, who Brian's got a good one there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does come the Premier League season. But as far as it goes,
he's got to get some starting minutes first.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see we'll see if he does. And after this performance so far at the Euros, he might. But it's also the point where the Netherlands can't keep going down. And it's just something that eventually they'll go down and we'll be able to come back against one of these other 3 remaining teams. And I mean, that's going to be their Achilles heel here.
Well, I find it interesting how well they're doing because people, especially in the Netherlands, are really down on Ronald Koeman as a manager. They don't like the dude. He's gone to the semifinals. I don't know if that's him or if that's just the players that he's playing. But like Jason said, something's happening at halftime, which means sure you get it wrong, right? You get it wrong before the game. That can happen all the time. But the fact that they're coming back after the halftime in a game like this, where realistically it's almost like playing on the road with how the energy was going in the stadium, that's impressive. You got to give the manager some props for that because you're down. Then at halftime, you make the adjustments, you come back and you get the 2 goals that you needed. Fair play to him because I know a lot of people wanted him out and a lot of people were thinking he was going to be out because they didn't think the Dutch would go very far. I think he just secured his job for the next 2 years at least. Got him to the semifinals of the Euros, and they're looking good when he makes the changes. And that's all you can really do as a manager because it's hard to get it right off the bat. But if you can have that in-game feel that we see the best in the world have, that's how you are successful. But I do agree with the point you guys made. When you're playing someone later on, you can't go down at this point. You might not be able to go down against in England, which I don't know if they will, just based on how England plays. I don't know if that's as big of a concern. But if you do make it past that game and you're playing the French or you're playing the Spanish, you can't go down. You can't go down early because if you go down, they will bury you. They've already proven that. So fair play to him for getting him here. He's made the changes he needs to at halftime, but I like the point that you made. They've got to just be better from the start. They've got to be checked in as soon as the game goes, or else this will probably be the end of where they go.
Yeah, couldn't agree more on what both of you guys have said about that. Especially, it's they did what they had to do, got through, and are now off to the semifinals, where they will play England, who in their quarterfinal match.
Oh my gosh!
Well, another day of heartwarming stuff or heart hurting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
England, just like the Netherlands, go down 1-0 once again for England. They went down 1-0 to Slovakia, 1-0 to Switzerland. And at this time, they didn't leave it to the 95th minute to equalize. Took 5 minutes for your boy Jackson from Arsenal, Bukayo Saka.
A goal, by the way.
Great goal. First shot on goal from England in the match. I guess that's what happens when you put the ball on net. Sometimes it goes in. So really impressed with his performance. And then England gets it. Couple big saves from Pickford in extra time, but sure enough, it goes to a penalty shootout. As all England fans around the world know, that does not go well for England.
Mm-hmm.
Massive by Cole Palmer to come out and get that first one away. Then Manuel Akanji had his shot saved by Pickford. From there on out, it was Bellingham, Saka, Tony, Trent, all put their penalties away, and England somehow wins a penalty shootout. So maybe this is the time it finally changes. But I'll start with you, Jason. What were your thoughts on this match?
This match, I missed part of I missed the first half of the match. Was able to capture the last second half and extra time. So I don't have much thoughts because I didn't watch much of it. But I did see the penalty shootout. And then Pickford with the save. I'm not sure if you guys saw on social media where his I guess water bottle had to dive left for Kanji. And it works. Watching footage works. So shout out to him for doing, I guess, his research.
Mm-hmm.
But it's heartbreak because Akanji after the match, you can see he was crying. It really meant a lot to him. But at the same time, I'm not a Man City fan, so yeah. But at the end, so England, again, they go just like the Dutch. They keep going down and find their way back in. Like the only team that could, like you're facing the Dutch, the same thing. So I expect this match to be sloppy. But yeah, Spain and France, they could put it away immediately if these teams don't come out swinging right out the gate.
Yep. Jackson, your thoughts on this quarterfinal tie?
I mean, from an England perspective, pretty brutal yet again. I mean, you guys, this is giving me Portugal 2016 vibes. Obviously not to the extent because England was one of the favorites heading into this and they won the group. Obviously, Portugal wasn't a favorite in 2016, and they also got third place and were the last third-place team to go through, if I recall correctly. So there aren't parallels there, but in terms of how they're just squeaking out these results in the knockout stages, I feel like the parallels are completely there. Down and out in 2 different games, and you find a way to score a bicycle kick with the last minute against Slovakia, and then Harry Kane goes and scores 2-1. And then this – a man I was concerned for England heading into this game was Brill Embolo because the dude is a body, and he used his body to just completely throw, I forget who that was, out of the picture and score the tap in. And at that point, I thought Switzerland's going to win because Switzerland's looked so good. But it took the, like you said, first chance on target. Bukayo Saka just buries a brilliant goal. And look, I'm still Southgate out. I think they're winning in spite of him rather than because of him. But that's what happens when you've got elite players. When you've got a Bukayo Saka who could cut in and do that. When you have a Jude Bellingham who could play like complete ass the whole tournament and then pull a bike out when it's most needed. That's what I found impressive about this England team. I don't think you guys play very well, Jerry. I don't think you look good. I don't think anyone does. I think you're playing far below your potential, and you still made the semifinals of the Euros. So fair play. And in this game, it was pretty even stat wise. I felt more like Switzerland deserved to win in the first 90, just a little bit more, especially when they got that first goal. But it's not about who deserves to win. It's not even about the stats. It's about who moves on at the end of the day. And fair play to England because they found a way. Pickford is pretty good at penalty kicks. I will give him that. Like Colombia in 2018, this time he does pretty well in shootouts. So I mean, I think Jason brought up the water bottle. You guys maybe figured out penalty kicks finally. And maybe you finally realized you just need to prepare for every kick possible. Like he on his water bottle, it's like every single player. So you guys are doing something right overall. It goes from just finding the way to win to doing all that research for the penalty kicks. It's not pretty. It's pretty awful to watch for neutrals, but you're getting it done, and that's really what matters. So I still always will root against England as an American, but they're getting it done. Like it's kind of hard to argue with. It's not pretty, but it just takes some moments from some class players, and you guys are getting it done. So I think it's really going to be hard for anyone to beat you because defensively you look pretty solid for the most part, and when the time has come, so far you found an answer.
Absolutely. And I'll say off the back of just the penalty talks for Pickford, I saw a stat the other day that Pickford has, I want to say, 7 or so saves for England in a penalty shootout.
Mm-hmm.
The last 7 goalkeepers or something before him had a total of 2. That shows that the preparation is now there more than ever. He doesn't play great at Everton, but I think that's in part to the team around him.
Yeah.
Still makes some brilliant saves, but finds a way to get it done. I really loved the back three idea and the change of formation. Bukayo Saka playing as that left wing back, left midfield kind of thing. He was running up and down, just abusing Fabian Schär. So that was good to see. Kobe Mainu looked good once again. Kieran Trippier, I think, is heading out of the starting lineup. Yeah. I think that must have happened. I love the cameo by Luke Shaw, considering he's barely played since February. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat. I thought he was injured the whole tournament, and that's why he wasn't playing, but stepped up. I am curious about Harry Kane. He came off after a collision with Gareth Southgate and him falling into the bench. Fortunately, Ivan Toney came on and, man, was he cool, calm, and collected on his penalty. Didn't hit the ball once, stared down the goalkeeper. You know who his money was with this game. But yeah, England got it done on penalties. I thought the tide was going to turn when we beat Colombia on penalties. Wasn't the case, so maybe this is the one where it's starting to get going again. But I also want to say, Jackson, going back to your comparison to the 2016 Portugal team, yeah, needed a very late winner in extra time in their first game, penalties in the quarterfinals, found a way to beat a Welsh team that was kind of on a surprise run, and then got it done against France in the finals. So we'll see what happens. Quarterfinals are done behind us. We'll get into the semifinal previews now and start with the one that's happening on Tuesday, 3 o'clock Eastern time, the one I think we're all probably a little more excited for in terms of everybody in the footballing world. Spain versus France. Jackson, I'll let you go first. What are you expecting from Spain?
They've looked like the best team so far, just top to bottom in every single game. Sure, it took them extra time against Germany, and obviously the handball situation could have changed everything. When you're playing the host nation in a knockout stage game, it's always going to be hard. We saw what Russia did in 2018 against Spain when they were playing them in a penalty shootout. We see what other teams who are hosting besides Qatar do and the US in the Copa America. We see what all these teams do when they're hosting. It's hard to beat. So they got it done in that game. They've looked fantastic every other game. France is really kind of limping towards these semifinals with how they've played. Now, obviously, beating Portugal in penalty kicks is nothing, and great job by France. Every single taker made their shot, which is pretty remarkable because it's hard to do that. So they've done what they needed to do. That hasn't looked great. They've gone here. Could be when they maybe come to be this French team, maybe they suddenly show up now that they're in this stage. But I think with Mbappe just playing hampered because of his broken nose, that's your X factor if you're France. Sure, you've got Pace and Dembele running down the side. You've got Barcola to come off the bench. You've got all these talented players, these talented attackers. You got Griezmann. He hasn't really done shit this tournament, let's be honest, but you still have someone like him. But their X factor is Kylian Mbappe. He's the one who can go and dribble past 4 guys and rifle a shot bottom corner in the blink of an eye. And with him not playing like Kylian Mbappe because of his nose and because of everything that's going around it, I think Spain's got the clear advantage. Lamine Yamal has been fantastic. 3 assists for a 16-year-old is remarkable at a Euros. I think it's the highest amount ever by a teenager. And this kid's 16. He's still got like 3 more years of being a teenager. It's actually mind-boggling. He has been so good. Nico Williams is crazy out on that side. Morata's look good. Their midfielders has looked good. Olmo, when he comes in, has looked good. Pedri, when he's playing, has looked good. They just look so good and so complete right now that I just have to back the Spanish team. Obviously, again, France could turn it up at any single second in any game because they're that good. I still think they're the deepest team. But when you're missing your X factor and your leader, how are they going to go against a team that doesn't really have one main X factor? They're kind of just all playing well. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting when you look at these two teams. So I'm going to go Spain in this one. I'm going to go 2-0. I think they get one. France is pushing. Then Spain gets a late one later on. Again, this is going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be a good game from start to finish. But I think with Mbappe just not feeling like himself right now, Spain's going to have that edge they need where they don't have to worry about him as much in defense, and they can be a little more dangerous in the attack.
Yeah, I agree. Jason, what are your thoughts on this one heading in?
Same thing, exactly the same thing. Spain looks like the best team in the tournament, the best of the remaining teams, clearly. And the main thing is just that France, yeah, as you mentioned, no open play goals. Like, they're lacking, not like you said, you have all these players up front, and yet they can't produce a goal from open play. And with the way that Spain has been playing, the way how can I put this? Like, Spain looks like they're confident and they have everything going well for them. Manager side, the players, opponents, besides the handball, but everything is going their way. But just France has just been look completely lackluster. Going all the way to already going to a penalty shootout with an already weak Portuguese team. Not weak, but like again another lackluster team, and going to a shootout in 0-0. France just doesn't look like the best team currently. And yeah, he's like Jackson said, any moment they can just pick it up. But we said the same with Brazil before the start of Copa America, 2-2 against the USA, and then they have a draw with Costa Rica, and now being second in the group, and then getting even though I'm ahead of it, but getting eliminated by Uruguay. They're not looking like the team they're meant to be, and I think that's the same thing with France. So I see Spain, like Jackson said, winning 2-0. I still don't see France having an open play goal, or I guess a goal at all in this case. But yeah, France is just not the team they look like they were winning the World Cup.
Yeah. No, I agree with you guys in terms of a lot of that stuff you're saying offensively, of how they've looked pretty bad, how Mbappe is obviously injured and all that. But I also want to put out there, Spain's going to be missing their starting center back and starting right back.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Carvajal, obviously the red card. Robin Le Nomad has disciplinary points, so he's suspended after his second yellow card. Sure, you bring in Nacho, you bring in Jesus Navas, are the two who I think are going to be brought on.
Yeah.
You lose Pedri in the midfield, so you can bring on Dani Olmo there. That one's less of a change, but The way Carvajal has been playing is a huge loss, and I think France might finally be able to take advantage of that. But it is depending on how Mbappe plays. If he can come out and use his speed, use his skill, and not worry about the nose too much, which I know easier said than done when you have a plastic mask just sitting on your face. No one's really broken down this French team defensively. This French team has given up one goal all Euros, and it was a penalty. Robert Lewandowski scored in the last 10, 15 minutes of their game against Portugal or against Poland. William Saliba has been incredible. Theo Hernandez has been superb as well on that left side. Came in, converted the winning penalty as well. Ocampo has been good. Majan in goal has been solid. He's done what he's had to do, but that back four has been very impressive. And when you have guys like N'Golo Kante, Tchouameni, Rabiot kind of sitting right in front of him, it makes it very hard for any team to break him down. I think if anyone can, it will be the Spanish side. But I'm honestly kind of leaning towards France in this one. I think it'll be an extra time, a gritty game. I can see really going either way, but I think Mbappe will kind of step up this time. I think something will happen. I'm going to lean France 1-0, but I'm by no means confident on it, and it's less on their attacking side. It's more defensively. I just think they've been stout. There's also, I know he's not suspended now, but there was some very, very confusion about Alvaro Morata.
Mm-hmm.
He was apparently shown a yellow card that at least it seemed like he was, so that would have suspended him for this match. Turns out it was Fabian Ruiz, who the comment referee said after the fact was the one who was given the yellow. So Morata will be playing. It's just going to be a good game. Yeah. I think it's going to be very defensive focused. I don't think either team is really going to break down the other because let's say France has only given up one goal. Spain's only given up two. And one of them was a last-minute goal against Germany, and the other was early on in their match against Georgia, and that was an own goal. So one of those things, it's going to be what breaks first in terms of what defense. Just the likes of Mbappe, and I think Griezmann could step up here as well. I'm slightly leaning France, but by no means confident in that pick.
And I think if France goes with pace, obviously everyone they have has pace, but you go obviously Dembele on the right like they've been doing, and maybe take out Thuram and put in a Kingsley Coman to just run at an older, very old, he's very old, Jesus Navas. If he is the one starting, they could just cook him. Like Cucurella is not the best defender. So obviously Dembele, I think, wins that battle. And then if you sub in someone like Kingsley Coman, or I would say Colin Moani maybe if you want, and you put them out wide and just let them run, this Spanish back line is definitely going to have more of a problem. And I think that's how they could win. Well, obviously with Mbappe up top doing Mbappe things if he can. I still think like all the points you made were great. Spain has 8 different goal scorers. Yeah. And their 2 leading goal scorers are center midfielders. So they're getting production from all over the place. So this is going to be fun because, like you said, France only given up 1 goal, and the Spain team has shown that they know how to create goals and get them from a variety of different sources, from a defender to midfielders to their striker even getting a goal. Everyone's finding a way. So this is going to be, like you said, it's going to be such a fun game to watch because you're going to see a team that has looked solidly defensively. And I'm glad you mentioned Saliba because I think he's been France's best player this whole tournament.
I think he might be the best center back in this tournament.
Yeah, I think he's got a case for it, for like a very good case. He has been so solid. And for a younger center back who's 23 years old to be doing what he's doing is actually crazy. Because it usually takes center backs another 3-4 years till they're in their prime. He looks like a prime, elite, top 5 level center back already. And he's showing it with his team. So it's going to be fun to kind of see this team that's been creating all these chances, getting goals from everywhere versus, like you said, a team that's only given up the 1 goal, and it was a penalty kick. It's going to be an awesome game to watch.
Absolutely. Jason, any closing thoughts on this one before we hop into the other semifinal?
Nope. Both of you just took the words out of my mouth. I wasn't mentioning it.
There we got it then. So looking at that one, we have France-Spain, going to be a great game, Tuesday afternoon. Other semifinal, Wednesday afternoon, same time, 3 o'clock Eastern. The Netherlands and England. Jason, I'll let you get us underway with this one. What are you expecting in this one?
I expect this despite the talent on both teams, I expect this match to be incredibly boring. That's my first thought. As I mentioned before, both England and the Dutch, they both go down first. So, and they both come back late, or at least later in the second half. Um, I see. I hope to see more of Wout Weghorst because, as we mentioned, he's a game changer. Someone's Hall. They need and up front because what Memphis is playing at the 9 or the false 9. I'm not sure what he's doing. But when Wout was there, he changed the game for Turkey. He almost got an assist, but the pay missed the easy shot on target. Or not missed, but he didn't hit the ball.
Yeah.
As for England, same thing. Even they go all the way last 10 minutes of the match or something to win, to at least tie it up. I see this being like the Portugal and France game. This is going to be a boring game. I'm going to see this game going into a penalty shootout. I see it going 0-0 all the way to the end. And I see the Dutch winning it in the penalty shootout. I think Pickford, even though he has a good showing in the shootout, he's gonna miss one or two. No, he's not gonna miss. Sorry, the Dutch are just gonna put him more past, and he's not gonna get a save. There you go. I think the Dutch get more past. I see him getting 4 straight, while England, are gonna miss one, and Pickford's gonna have that stress on him, and he's gonna get it. It's gonna get to him, and it's not gonna come home. I'm sorry, Jerry, but it's not gonna come home. And I see it being the end of England. But fortunate thing for you is a guy, if England leads, Southgate also leads. So that's how I see it. I just see him being a slow match. Again, same thing. Saka was the first goal. His shot on target was the first one on game. I see it being similar. No goals or no shots on target for 120 minutes. I just see it being a slow match, a very boring match, if anything.
Yeah, Jason, Jackson, you agree with him on that?
I'm not going to I'm not going to, back anyone besides England at this point, because on 2 different occasions, you guys have found a way to win, which is the sign of a good team. I'm not saying you've got a good coach. I'm not saying you're playing well, but it is the sign of a good team. And Dutch have done well to get here, but let's look at things a little bit holistically here with the Dutch this tournament. They finished 3rd in their group, which hard group. Don't get me wrong. Austria was on a tear in the group stage, and then France and Poland, whatever. We don't even care what. But then you play Romania in the round of 16, game they easily should have won. And then you play Turkey, which, again, difficult game, great game, but on paper, a team you easily should have taken care of. They haven't really played anyone yet either. So England has also kind of not really played the hardest schedule to get here. You could argue, obviously, the Dutch have played well, but neither of these teams have really played anyone of serious consequence. If the Dutch had and had beaten someone, I would be fully on board with this Dutch team, but they haven't. And because of that, I'm going to go with this England team. A lot of these players, or not, yeah, I'd say a lot. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, were involved with the final 3 years ago. A lot of them were there. So they have that experience. And I just don't really see this Dutch team being in a final of an international tournament when it really comes down to it. I just don't. I feel like the Dutch are always close, but they can never get over that hump. And I think a big reason for that is it's going to be the battle of mid when it comes to coaches. And I think England's mid is going to outdo the Dutch mid. I really do. I think they're going to get it done. It's going to be a snooze fest. I agree with Jason. It's not going to be the most fun game to watch. I see it going 0-0 through 90. I do see the English getting a goal in extra time. I don't think it goes to penalty kicks. I think if it does go to penalty kicks, England loses. I don't think you'll ride the lightning twice, but I think you'll get it done before that. I don't know who's going to score. If you had to take a guess, there's only 3 players who have scored, so I guess you could go with one of those 3. But I think you get it done in extra time, 1-0. Boring game, but England's overall quality and, again, that just don't quit attitude that you've shown that I'm actually really impressed with you guys is going to get you through to the final.
We'll see. I'm going to talk on my side of things, and it's as far as England goes, hasn't been great, but they do have the experience, like you mentioned, Jackson. You look at where they've finished recently. Last World Cup went out in the quarterfinals to France, defending champions, World Cup runner-ups there. Not much you can do about that. Losing the finals of the Euros in 2020/2021 to Italy on penalties. World Cup before that, you make it to the World Cup semifinal. In those same three tournaments, the Dutch failed to qualify for 2018, went out in the quarterfinals at 2022 after absolutely drubbing the U.S. in the round of 16. Just saying, it's like they had momentum going in. England barely squeaked by whoever they played in the 22 World Cup round of 16. Then Euros went out in the round of 16 last time. This team is notorious for kind of collapsing as the group stage or as the knockout stage progresses, and I think that's in part to just a lack of experience for players. Memphis Depay, as you brought up, Jason, he didn't look great in this game in this past game against Turkey. Had a chance to kind of get them back into it and missed his shots. That sort of stuff. Cody Gakpo's been good, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for him. Wout Weghorst, sure, he's big and physical, but this English back three of Kyle Walker's fast. Somehow still at whatever age he is, 32, 33. Seems like he's been around forever. John Stones has been pretty good. I'm curious to see if they go with Konsa. I think it'll be Gue.
He's got to be. It's got
to be him now that he's back from suspension. I'm leaning towards England, and I do think there will be goals in the first 90. I don't think it'll be a dire 0-0 match. I agree that it's going to go to extra time, but I think it'll be 1-1 going into extra time because for England, I'm hoping that it's going to be Luke Shaw starting out wide instead of Kieran Trippier. And I think that'll bring enough versatility for England to kind of get going moving up the field a bit easier. Because as bad as England's looked, this was by far the best they've looked as far as going forward. Sure, there were no shots on target until the 80th minute, but that aside, they were actually making moves forward and all that stuff. Had some good stops against a very good Swiss team. I can see that continuing again, whereas also at the same time, defense finds a way to mess up. Could very well see this being a 1-0 one, but it won't happen because, as we've discussed earlier on, both these teams find ways to go down and find ways to pull it out of the fire and get level somehow. So have this going to extra time. I think England will edge it 2-1, partially because of the reasons you said, Jackson, of the quality of players and the guys you can bring off the bench will just be that difference maker. I could see an Ivan Toney cameo, him doing something because he's looked very good when he's come on, but we'll see. Any final thoughts, guys, on these two semifinals before we wrap this one up?
Excited. Let's get it going. I mean, this is the really, really fun part of the tournament. You know, all the underdogs and Cinderella stories are dead, and now we just got big boys going after big boys. This is where we get top quality soccer, and it can't possibly end horribly in the semifinal, right? It's got to be great soccer, of course. But all jokes aside, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be two very good games. Probably going to be different games in terms of the chances and stuff being created, but it's always fun. This is the fun part of the tournament. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. Jason, any final thoughts?
Again, like last episode, I just don't hope for a boring match. We all predicted France, Portugal would be pretty boring. Like you said, it should be good, top quality football. But if England and the Dutch give a snooze fest, yeah, it's going to be pretty boring all the way to the finals. But again, should be top quality football. So I'm still can't wait. But let's hope for the best.
Well, there you have it, guys. I'm kind of on board with them. It's just looking for some exciting matches. Hopefully England can get it done against the Netherlands, but I'm not confident by any means there. As long as it isn't penalties, I might not have a heart attack. So we'll see. Thank you guys for watching this episode of It's Called Football. Make sure you stay tuned and keep an eye out for our Copa America semifinal preview that'll be coming out shortly as well. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.